How many of y'all are ready for 2025 in the aspect that you are just prepared to start grinding on some things? I know for me, I'm not really one that normally does the New Year's resolutions. I'm that type of individual that I start today. If I am into something, I start today, or either I'll start tomorrow or whatever. Like I never wait to the beginning of 2000 and whatever. So I started working on I'm going to say health. I'm not going to so much say weight loss per se, because you kind of have to watch your language, in my opinion. And if you're that type of individual that's always like weight loss, it connotes that it's going to be something you're going to be going back to find. I don't plan on going to find this weight again. However, I'm losing it slowly simply because I want to ensure that once it's gone, it's never coming back. So it's a whole lifestyle change. So I'm doing something called clean keto. Um, so I mean, you eat a lot of vegetables, you eat your fat and all that good stuff. So that's what I'm really working on. So far, I've lost about 30 pounds, and I plan on losing probably another 45 pounds or so. So I'm slowly working on it. Yeah. And just recently, I pinched a nerve. So the whole right side of my body is numb. Generally, when I'm, dropping weight or whatever, I have a tendency to work out. But I noticed that for me, when I would do a lot of working out, my eating wouldn't be the best. So this time around, I just really focused on my eating. Okay. So I haven't done much exercise. I really walk. That's the thing that I'll be doing, is mostly walking. And so, because, walking a lot of times can really, situate you as far as like autophagy. It'll start to, suck up a lot of the skin and all of that good stuff. And walking is a very phenomenal exercise. Don't discount walking. But the whole point is you've got to do something that you enjoy doing, that you are going to continue to do. And that was my mindset. That has been my mindset. So I'll focus more on dancing. I'll focus more on walking. I'll focus more on being physically active in the aspect of lifestyle things, because what ends up happening when you're a mom and you're a homeowner and all that kind of stuff, you always got stuff you need to do. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have, hours to be spending up in the gym. I got a child who I'm trying to prepare, for once he gets out of school. So I have to prepare him to ensure that he's ready for this whole AI generation. I'm going to tell you something. If you're a parent, be aware that these children are going to have to be way smarter than we were. And our kid, and the last, like this alpha generation, they're going to have to be smarter than the millennials. They're going to have to be smarter than all generations that have come before them. Simply because with artificial intelligence and whatnot. And then they've been talking about these H-1 visas too. And the whole situation with the H-1 visas is that we don't have a lot of Americans that are STEM geared. So science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So a lot of this new age stuff that's being built, our kids have to either be prepared for it, or they will bring in other people from other countries to be prepared for it. So anyway, with all of those things going on, I'm just constantly trying to ensure that my son is getting the education that he needs, because I'm going to tell you something about these public schools. They're not going to get it. Okay. You're going to have to fortify your child yourself. And it makes no sense that you can't, even if you don't have a high school diploma. Okay. Everything you need is on this app right here, YouTube. Look it up. Have your kids do STEM stuff. Have them really prepare, because that's what needs to happen. But anyway, I kind of got on a tangent with that. But my point is that I don't have all this time to be spending at the gym. Okay. So for me, I have to do lifestyle things that are beneficial to me and that's helpful to me. So that's my whole weight loss mindset. That's what I'm doing with weight loss. That's how I'm working, my weight loss. Now, yes, it is slower, and sometimes I wish it was faster, but I didn't gain the weight overnight. So with that being the case, I got to do what I got to do. Also for 2025, the goals that I'm working on as well is my financial goals. And I've been working on those all of 2023, 2024. But I know I can get more succinct, as well. And another thing too, when you get to this age, you get to the point where I don't know if you want to call it a midlife crisis or whatever it is, but you begin to ascertain whether or not the things that you're doing with your life is things that you're happy with. So whether it be your career or whatever, and when it comes to little black boys like my son, I know the world is not going to give him anything. I know he's going to have to be smarter, faster. And I know that, preferably what I tell him, I said, look, man, you got to get to the point where you don't have to worry about this corporate plantation. Okay. You need to run something, have your own business or whatever, because when you get into these corporations and you dealing with these cultures, if you Afro-American, most of the time, there's not much there for you. Now, yes, there are, now I know I'm going to hear it. There are black people who are going to be like, oh, where are Afro-Americans? Are going to be like, oh, that's not true, da, 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 da. It's been my experience that the Afro-Americans that are able to run up the ladder are generally Afro-Americans that don't really fool with other Afro-Americans. They don't support the culture. And a lot of times, I have literally been in meetings where Afro-Americans are the butts of the jokes, and they're the ones who's perpetuating it. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, look, man, this is a job and I appreciate y'all for paying me for what I do. But what I'm not going to do is talk down on my culture. That's what I'm not going to do. And we're not going to have inside conversations with people that don't give a crap about us anyway. So I've been trying to make sure that I have gone outside of my career as far as things that I need to know for myself to be, successful. I'm changing up my social media accounts. I used to do a lot more TikTok and whatnot. I'm doing more X and more LinkedIn, and I'm doing more YouTube. It's just really all about being a well-rounded person. Are you a well-rounded person in the aspect that you're constantly seeking to see if there's anything that you could get better at, And so that's what I've really been working on. Every day I'm just trying to be the best me that I can be. And some days are easier than others, I know as an Afro-American woman, a good deal of what I struggle with and have to go through is the many faces that we have to wear. Don't let nobody tell you this, okay, who ain't Afro-American. And even if somebody is telling you this, who is Afro-American, they probably lying to you, okay? We have to wear so many faces that sometimes you don't even know who the hell you are. You got to wear a face when you go out in the world. You got to wear a face for the teachers at the school. You got to wear another face for the people at the job. I mean, it is so overwhelming and depressing sometimes, to the point where a lot of times I don't even want to go. Like I'm telling y'all, like most of the time, I don't even go to Walmart or Target or whatever to shop. I order that stuff online and I go pick it up, just because I am overstimulated from dealing with people and just not a lot of times dealing with good people. You know what I mean? Like, people will say, oh, I'm an empath or whatever the case may be. And maybe that's what I am or whatever. But I find myself like really being challenged with people, especially when they're just not good people. It's so many people in the world, man. They just not good people. That's the reason why a lot of times you struggle and you don't have friends, you know? And it's simply because the majority of the people that you running across, you just like, I can't fool with you. You know what I mean? Like, people just can be really weird. They really can. And, you know, a lot of times you'll find someone and you be like, let me see if I can rock with this person. And then you find out you can't. And I'm that type of person. I don't try to change people. I want people to be 100% authentically themselves. I'm not going to teach nobody how to treat me. You should have sense enough to know how to treat people. If you got good people in your life, learn how to treat those people. You know what I mean? Make sure you're being the best person that you can be every day. And honestly, what ends up happening a lot of times, if you are a forever student and you're constantly learning and constantly like trying new things or whatever, you're not going to vibe with most of the people you run into anyway, because y'all ain't going to have good conversations. And I find a lot of times that's what happens. You don't really run into a lot of people who have stimulating conversation. You know, even as much like I remember, I kind of feel like back in the day, you could run into people and they may not be into what you're into, but they cool with letting you be yourself. And they are enamored with you in the aspect that the things that you could talk about could be interesting to them. Nowadays, you don't find a lot of that. And it's really sad. And what ends up happening is that a lot of people are alone. You know, and I have this whole mindset about loneliness. You know, I feel like a lot of times people, you know, they will talk bad on people who are lonely. And, you know, a lot of times people just want somebody in their life and they don't want to be lonely. And sometimes they'll put up with some things that they normally wouldn't put up with just because they don't want to be lonely. And sometimes that's what you need. You know, it's a season for everything. We have all been through putting up with something that we know we shouldn't put up with it, but we don't want to be lonely and it's a comfortable space. But then you get to the point where you move on from that. You know, the whole saying, when you know better, you do better. And that's the whole idea. When you know better, you do better. And some of us are in the point in our lives where we just don't want to hear the noise. Like, I'm to the point in my life where as noisy as it gets in a space, the less I want to be in the space. You know what I mean? I would love to like hang out with some people and go to a nice jazz club. I'm finding now I'm listening to more jazz. I've never been into jazz. And it's because it allows my mind to think. You know, I'm listening to a lot of more classical music, more Chopin and whatnot. And it's because it allows my mind to calm. So if you find yourself like really struggling in your mind to be calm, part of it is the noise. You know, in 2024, 2025, the noise of things, you know, the saying, the internet of things, the noise of things is very oppressive. It really is. It doesn't allow you to think. It doesn't allow you to ponder. It doesn't allow you to break things down. All it really allows you to do is react. A lot of us are so reactive because we do not have, there's so much noise around us all the time that we just can't even think. And you'll find, you'll be saying to yourself, like, why did I even do that? It's because you were reactive because you weren't in a space to think. So my advice to you, and how I'm going to end this video, is that get quiet in your mind. Music is a part of that. The shows that you watch is a part of that. All of those things is a part of that. Peace and blessings. And I hope you have a wonderful night. You're pretty fabulous. And so am I. Peace and blessings.